iron in the soul. What's up, YouTube? This is King Jabez, back today with another very important message. Please subscribe to my channel, like this video, share this video, leave a comment, let me know what you think about my content. In addition to that, please feel free to follow me over on Instagram at The King Jabez, as well as my website, theironandsoul.com, where you can book a consultation, get my book. Whatever you choose to do, it would all be greatly appreciated. Well, let's do some work. Let's talk about a very important subject today, and that is why chosen ones are alone. There is a difference between isolation and separation. And I want to take some time today to kind of explain this because, the truth is, as people, we are built and made for community. We need one another. We need someone to help us, to encourage. So isolation, we can't confuse that with the truth of separation. So as chosen men and women, we are called by the Most High to be separated, but we're not called to isolation. It's easy to get someone who's alone. And this is why the ancient Hebrew scripture teaches us so clearly that one could put 1,000 in flight and two, 10,000. So the Bible is clear on how people coming together, there's a power with that. There is great power in numbers. And so, yes, we have to be careful who's in our circle and to choose our circle carefully. But we don't want to get to a place where we're just literally by ourselves. And so I want you to be cautious of being alone and isolated from everyone to a place where you can't receive encouragement. Because we need people to give us hope, to give us guidance. We need a friend from time to time to tell us we're doing something the wrong way. We need instruction. Think about, for example, people who are artists. They had to have a manager. They had to have an accountant. They had to have a lawyer. So a cord of three is not easily broken. That's also the ancient scriptures in Ecclesiastes, King Solomon. So when you have multiple people on your side, this gives you a protection that being isolated can't give you. King David himself, he's a great example of separation as opposed to isolation. King David was a leader in the nation of Israel. And because of jealousy, because of hatred, and because of the call of God on his life, he had to be separated. And while he was in that cave by himself, the Most High did not leave him by himself. He brought around him 400 men who became David's mighty warriors once he took the throne. So it's something about building connections when you're at the bottom. This is how you know who your true friends are. Everyone wants to be friends with you once you're on. Once the money come in and you got the status, you got the clout, you got people behind you, you got resources. Everyone loves a man and woman who has resources. But you will see who your true friends are when you have to war to get those resources. So I'm a believer in, if you can't war with me, you can't get my wealth. If you're not willing to go to war with me to fight for that wealth, then you can't have my wisdom either. And so wisdom says, while I'm at war, I need warriors around me. I need men and women with me. People, to make it plain, you need people to pray for you. You need people to have your back when you need someone to talk to. There's nothing like having people who have connections and being able to get on your phone and call someone who can plug you. And so all of that is necessary. So I'm for us chosen ones coming together and helping each other out. And helping isn't just dishing out money. It could be giving advice. Hey, this is a connection. Maybe you should try this. I did this in business. This worked for me. I talked to this person. He gave great advice. This is what we should be doing. And so while David was in that cave at the bottom, he had 400 men who were in the same situation. The ancient Hebrew scripture says that they were in debt. They were in distress. So while David was down, check this out, he had people around him who were also in the same situation. And he became a captain over them. And this is how, in my opinion, this is what made David a great king. He was able to lead from the bottom up. So when he was in his season of separation, he wasn't by himself. It was during that time that the Most High brought men around him who would be his best friends for life. So I want to really motivate us during our time of separation. I like to use separation as opposed to isolation. During our time of separation and when we're alone, ask for help. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you wise. That's strength. And so get support. Have accountability. Have someone who can tell you when you're doing something wrong. Don't try to do life by yourself. Listen to me, we cannot fulfill the purpose for our life or the purpose the Most High has over us by ourselves. We can't do that. That's why some of you watching this video, we're looking for community. And I had the privilege 2 years ago of meeting one of my subscribers in real life. He messaged me online and he was in Chicago. We still connect to this day. We even did a song together. I do hip hop music as well. We even did a song together. And in our conversation, he was saying that he's looking for community. You know what I mean? So again, we're called to, I'm going to repeat this, separation, not isolation. Though we are chosen ones, me and him both, and we are separated from the world, we come together for encouragement, for advice, for that strength. You know, sometimes just having a conversation with a person who's on the right path can really give you some inspiration. This is why there is this post online, I'm sure you all have seen. Which one would you choose? $1 million or dinner with Jay-Z? What they're saying is that you have the opportunity to speak to someone who has power and status and wealth and insight for an hour. That's worth a lot of money. And even if you don't like Jay-Z personally, we can use him as an example. Whoever it is that you respect and admire as a leader, talking to that person one-on-one for an hour has great value to it, right? That's a form of building connections and community while you're in your transition. So alone is a test for you. Just like the humiliation ritual, this is part of that ritual. This is part of that test, is how you're able to deal with relationships ending. And I'm all for, by the way, ending toxic relationships. So yes, we are called to separate from family and friends who are no longer aligned with our life, our purpose, and where we're trying to go. In other words, if you're trying to break curses, you cannot break those curses with people around you who have those spirits on them. You have to separate yourself. And that doesn't mean that you're better than them, because people always say, you know, they hit you with this one, you think you're better than me. Right? Have you heard that before? It's not about being better. It's about a new change for my life. It's not about me being better than you. I'm on a new path now, and you can't go with me. You see, life is a journey. And on this journey, when we get to certain levels and certain rooms and doors open, everyone can't go with you because they don't have the spiritual capacity or the strength to go there with you. So it's not personal. It's not about me being better than you. People saying you think you're better than me is a guilt trip they use to keep you on that same level, to keep you from elevating, to keep you from getting to the resources and the connections that God has in store for you. Now, to give a full truth with this particular message, there are times when it is healthy to be alone. Okay, we don't want to live in that place, but there are times when it's appropriate to be alone to experience the shalom of God. Now, shalom is the Hebrew which means peace, nothing broken or fragmented. That's what shalom means. It means a wholeness. Things are in alignment. And so when you have the peace of God, you sometimes experience that in your alone time, when you are in meditation, when you are praying, when you are in your journal. I'm all for keeping a journal, prayer, meditation, doing what is necessary to, what's very popular right now, protect your peace. Everyone online right now is saying protect your peace, right? And there is some wisdom to that, because there's a time in our lives when we have to have clarity of thought in order to make good decisions going forward. So this is to say, not to contradict my message, there are times when it's healthy to be alone. Quietness, to reflect. In fact, there was Nikola Tesla who says being alone is the key to genius. And so we're not suggesting that you never do this. That's not the purpose of this message. There are times when that's the best thing to do, to get your mind right, to focus, to reevaluate some things, to make decisions as to which family you want to be around and what family you don't want to be around. The books you're reading, making some plans to travel, making some plans to network. There are times when it is totally appropriate and healthy to spend time by yourself to get your mind right. So let me stress that in this part of this talk. Yes, continue to do that, because I want you to think, in other words, you don't have to always be around people. And if you have to always be around people, in my opinion, there's something wrong with that. You can't be afraid to be by yourself for the right reason. And at the same time, there's a balance here. You don't want to allow bitterness and hate and jealousy and fear to keep you isolated. Well, I don't trust nobody, right? So what am I saying? There is a balance between alone time and separation, connecting with other people. There has to be a balance. And we don't want to go to one extreme to the other. So you have one extreme of isolation where you don't deal with nobody. I don't trust nobody. I never will. And you have the other extreme of being needy. There's some people who always need attention. Always got to have people in their face. Always got to have people around them to confirm them, to celebrate them. And you got to be careful with that too. And so what I'm suggesting, and this is not me telling what to do, what I'm suggesting in this video is that you and I, we find some type of healthy balance where I'm not isolated and I'm not needy. I'm here in the middle. And there's a middle passage. The middle way is narrow for a reason because it takes wisdom and discernment and discretion and guidance to walk this path. So on one hand, yes, it's okay to be alone, to grow, to develop, to mature, to get your mind right. But it's also healthy to be around people so that they can help you, but also so that you can help them. So it goes both ways. One of the dangers of being alone is that you can develop the Elijah complex. Elijah was a prophet of God, a great prophet who did miracles, called down fire from heaven. He was definitely a chosen one. And the downside to that is that he thought he was the only one. And so you have to be careful. This is a tendency for chosen people to think you're by yourself. I'm the only one who thinks this way. And the truth is, we look at the scriptures, there were over 7,000 people who did not bow down to Baal. Baal was a false god. It was a image and demons and spirits behind that. And a lot of this happened even today in the secret societies, by the way. That's another subject for another day. But Molech and sacrifice and all of that is ancient paganism. And so there were Hebrews who were bound down to these pagan gods. And so Elijah saw so much of that he began to think, man, I'm by myself. I'm the only one following the Most High. And the truth is, he wasn't by himself. There were 7,000. So maybe you're like Elijah and you feel like it's just you. Well, I want to challenge you to open your eyes up and realize that there are thousands of us all over the earth who think this way. This is why if you read the comment section, we have very similar experiences. I don't know if anyone else noticed that, but a few of you have actually said this. It sounds like, man, you're talking right to me. How do you know this? And it's because we're on the path. And we have a lot in common. We have similar experiences. In other words, we're not by ourselves. So yes, there are times when you feel alone, when you have to be alone. But the truth is there are many people who think like you. And there's wisdom for us to come together, to encourage one another, to motivate each other, to share resources, give guidance, and to help each other go forward in these last days. Because I'm telling you, from what I see a very real spiritual war happening right before our eyes. And it's like the Most High is right now gathering his army. And you have those who are following the devil and Lucifer, and you have those who are making the decision to follow the Most High God. And what's happening is, I believe, eventually, in his time, whenever that is, God's going to begin to release resources. Okay, believe this with me, receive this with me. He's going to begin to open doors for us. He's going to begin to bring us together for community, to build, to guide, to instruct one another. God is at work. And though it looks very dark for some of us sometimes, and some of you right now saying, man, big bro, it's dark for me right now. And I can understand that. You're going through hard times and a lot of uncertainty, not knowing what's next. And that's real. But I want to encourage you during that dark time, lean on your brothers and sisters for motivation. Say, you know what, I need somebody to talk to. That's healthy. Can you suggest some books for me to read? And a lot of you have been reaching out just for that. Some of you have been asking, man, what books should I read? How do I go about doing this? What do you think about this practice? And that's wisdom to do that. And I encourage us to continue that on our path. And so what am I saying? In so many words, you and I have to avoid the Elijah complex. We cannot think that we're by ourselves, because when we're by ourselves, we are an easier target for the forces of hell. Never forget that. When you are isolated, you are an easier target for Satan. Make it plain. Let me make it crystal clear. And demons. Whereas when you have that two, a cord of three is not easily broken. So you get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 brothers and sisters together, you got some power now. There's more power in 2 or 3 than there is in 1. And so when we can unite in the spirit and get spiritual power, bring down that fire from heaven like Elijah, doors begin to open. Treasures begin to get poured into our lives. We begin to see things happen, things shaken up for a positive in our lives. And so I want to encourage us to do that and to avoid the assumption that we're by ourselves. So as I close this video, I want to encourage us to understand why we are alone, and during that season to be wise to find community amongst the right ones. Separate from the bad, but don't isolate from the good. That's a good way of kind of summarizing this whole message for those who listened this far. Thank you for that. Isolate yourself from the bad. Okay? Get away from all of that. And come together with those who are good. They can give you wisdom, guidance, and instruction. And on this path, you will be able to go forward and to really tap into your true potential. You don't want to lose your gifts. You don't want to waste all of the experiences you had. You don't want your pain to be in vain. You don't want your life to be in vain. You want to experience what is for you in those gifts that are in you, that wisdom that is in your mind, that idea, that passion you have. Don't lose that in the wilderness. Let me close with that. Don't lose your strength while you're fighting. Keep on fighting and live long enough, stay in the fight, to experience the spoils of your war. Many of you are very close. Keep on fighting, and I trust you can go forward. This is your brother King Jabez. I thank you for listening to this video. God bless.